gentlemen, hey, congratulations for an action.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
So tell me, where did you get the off-the-wall idea of making a film like this?
Oh, well, this was Sean's idea about. I mean, we've been working on this project for about over 6 years. And in early 2014, we had been writing together for a couple of years, and some things were terrible. And then one thing we did, we really loved, and we were like, okay, this is like a real partnership. What are we going to do next? And we were sitting down in this pizza place, which was like our doubled as our writing spot. And Sean said to me, I want to make an action movie with two people sitting in chairs that takes place in one room for $5,000. And I said, I don't know what that means, you know? But he was saying that, he said, you know, imagine if we had quick cutting and we had some cool sound design and we can make it feel like an action movie. I said, all right, that's a cool idea. And we left, and I was walking through the East Village in Manhattan, and I kept seeing this car chase with two people in chairs. And I said, the camera's moving quick, fast, and there's rapid editing, and we're taking it seriously. Maybe we can make this come to life. And so I texted Sean and said, I'm in. Let's do it, a 2-person action movie. And then that's been the journey since then, since January 2014.
So the entire story concept of two script writers getting stuck inside an action movie, writing an action movie, getting stuck inside an action movie was.
Well, it's funny. I feel like there's a few different ways that came about. I think for me, before we did an action, we wrote a high concept action movie, and, you know, Eric and I would be at work, and I would be sending him ideas like, oh, what if we blew this up? And what if we use this chemical? And like kind of things that, you know, could look a little precarious to people that could be watching. So we would send this all back and forth. And I think both of us were like, we should probably be careful what we're emailing each other. Like, this could look a little strange. And then Eric also had a family story that was kind of also resonated with us.
Yeah, my uncle's doctor was sending like crazy anti-government, anti-Barack Obama emails to my godfather. And then the doctor got like the FBI came to his door and summoned him to be like, is this real? Is this guy a quack? Should we take this serious? So my godmother was freaking out that my godfather was going to get taken by the FBI for getting these emails. I told Sean that story, and he's like, think of everything we've been sending each other. And then boom, the idea for like, okay, two people writing an action movie that gets flagged. Then it all came. So it was like over like 2 weeks. It was like, all right, we would 2-person action movie. We'll do it. How are we going to do this? There's the plot. And then we just realized, we said, you know, we like this 2-person movie, but let's come up with a true storyline first. Write the plot out, write the story like we're going to make a regular script, and then we'll figure out the 2-person premise and how to make that work from there.
Well, thank goodness it's not based off a real story. So.
No.
So, Eric, you mentioned that when you guys came up with the concept was trying to make a movie, you know, about $5,000. Let's be honest. Did it kind of go over 5,000?
Yes. Yeah, we did. It's about a $30,000 movie all in. So it's still falls into that no budget category. But to be frank, we were doing, after we finished the script, we were doing a couple live readings to figure out how we could make this work, if it was working, and we tried to get a couple of producers on board. We were thinking, and that didn't work out. But then we got good advice, this kind of feedback that there was something there with the script. So we shot a prototype of us sitting in 2 chairs in one room, and we did it over one day, right before my first son was born. And then Sean edited the whole thing together, and we learned that didn't work exactly like we thought. It was
there was moments though. There were tiny moments.
But there were moments, exactly. There was enough, and then Sean was able to cut a trailer together of us in the chairs, just kind of in a 2.5 minutes, you could make it feel like, oh, there is this idea is something. And so then we wound up revising the script and made it more cinematic, but we still had the goal of, we want it to be, you know, just the two of us. We want it to be some micro budget. There's something that we can prove that you can make it something just as fun as a big budget film. With these kind of crazy parameters.
Well, then tell me at which stage of production you guys decided to be the actors for your own film. Was it during the writing stage or after the writing stage you decided, let's do it ourselves?
You know, I think we were always planned to be in it. I think there was a stage in pre-production where we actually had someone else in mind to direct, but, you know, with creative differences, you know, we went our separate ways. And we got advice from, I think it was a cinematographer of one of Eric's friends that just said, you guys know this story. At this point, we had been working on it for 2 years. And he said, just trust yourselves. So, we built a team. We got an acting coach that really helped us on set and helped us run rehearsals. But I think we kind of slowly learned during pre-production, which had been stalled for about a year, that like we had a vision for this, and we just Eric and I met at grad school in a writing program. We weren't really in the film world, so I think, at least for me, I was a little hesitant about taking the reins of the director title. But I think through readings and through editing this prototype that Eric mentioned, we had the time to build up the confidence to take on more of a bigger titles with the project.
And he's not tuning his horn out. Sean had been acting for years, and I'd done some stand-up comedy, and so he really said, let's show what we can do. Let's see if we can, let's make something that no one can ignore, that we can prove that we can do this. And so I think I've always said, I'm not an actor. Or he'd be like, Eric, you're an actor. You can do this. You can perform. And so, where I was like, we can direct this. And he's like, I don't know. And he's like, I don't know if I can act. We really encourage each other to believe in each other, kind of to find the strengths in each other's kind of skill set. And so that's how we wound up doing it together. But when we were writing it, we would sit down and we would tell stories, and some of those stories would make them to the script. Other things were completely fake. We wanted the characters' names as Sean and Eric, and we really just used those names as proxies, honestly, just because we were doing so much that it was easiest at the time to keep each other's names as we were talking to each other. And we always said, oh, we'll just change names eventually. And then we never did. And now we get questions like, oh, so how close, are you really these characters? And we're like, there's an essence in any acting. There's probably yourself a little bit in there, but like, we're not completely idiots and as unthoughtful as some of these guys are.
Maybe you should tell the other journalists this is based off a true story. about 2 script writers that are trying to do a low budget film. Now, how much improv did you guys actually do it? I mean, I know it's your guys' script, but you guys can change it all you want, especially in the middle of shooting.
Sure. Yeah, we there is this is what I'll say. A lot of the words we're saying there were scripted and like plotted out. Through the rehearsals that we did, we would often improvise in rehearsals, and then we would revise the script or like segments of the script throughout that. And so by the time we got into set, it was like scripted improvisation. You know what I mean? Like we kind of knew where we were going, but we had learned our surprises, and then every now and then I would kind of throw something there to knock Sean off the course.
Yeah, Eric, he has a stand-up background, definitely kept me on my toes. There's a scene where we're covered in fake blood, and it's at this point it's the movie is completely ridiculous at this point. And Eric basically in the middle of like a monologue says, "I didn't know blood was this sticky," and I just kind of burst out, and like I couldn't help it. And then we kept the scene going, but that's the take we use. So there's definitely a lot of like my laughs are pretty authentic, just because Eric throws things in there that I'm not expecting.
I could tell you one of the jokes that I actually was telling everybody over this past weekend was black eyes. Yeah. And now everyone is like conscious about pronouncing black eyes thanks to this movie. Just
yeah, that joke went back all the way to our live readings. We were describing the characters black eyes, and I have a friend and he's in politics. He's in politics. He's he's led like progressive like politicians for years. And he goes, were you saying black guys or black guys? And we were like, no, black guys. And we realized, oh, there's something there with that. And we could kind of like mess around with that saying, and like kind of like, uber liberalism where you're like trying to be PC, but you still like you're playing upon that. So we thought there was like a fun way to tie it all in together and make people feel a little self-conscious about it.
Love that. Now, being a micro budget film, I understand you two being the main stars, but when did it came to the decision not to use any extras at all and using you guys as basically is it you guys as the extras in this film?
It's a mix. We do all the voices. So any character you hear, it's us doing the voice. But we have somebody. Some of it is us, and then some of it is we have my dad actually is like the black guy's character. His muscle, he's a 70-year-old dude, but he's in unbelievable shape. And we just wanted to show, we use these other people less as we use almost like props, I guess. It's like they're part of the film, but they're not actors. You won't see their face, you don't see behind, just to have something, to have the world feel lived in. But we kind of made a conscious effort. We're like, if we're gonna make this a 2-person movie, we're just gonna kind of go for it and have that be the case.
Whew. I was about to ask which one of you actually put on the dress to play the woman in the film.
That was a PA. It's funny. I think that was his first day on set, and we were like, "Hey, I know we just met you, but would you play this part?" So for the Walmart scene, the cashier character.
That is terrific. Tell us about the live sketches and animation that you guys actually put in, because that, you know, the funniest thing is when you're watching like a comedy like this and you throw that in, it just comes out of nowhere. So so talk about the animation live sketches that you guys actually put in there.
So you can
Yeah, sure. I mean, so I think, you know, there's two parts with that. I think the most obvious one is that we had these 2 huge set pieces in the movie that we just could never afford to shoot. You know, one involved a helicopter crashing and one involves an elevator exploding. So we kind of knew from the start, like we might have to cut some corners here and use some animation to make these come to life. But we also started thinking about, you know, one of them, the first one is like it's a fantasy sequence and it's in Eric's head. So it's very colorful. It's a little more Saturday morning cartoon. It's kind of like wham, hits the screen. You know, Eric like rips his shirt off and all of a sudden he's like Fabio and he's got long blonde hair. So we really wanted to have fun with that one, to kind of like introduce people into this world and show like the comedy elements. And the second one is, it's just black. There's some red of the blood, but it's mostly a black and white. And I would say that's more of it's a cartoon, but it's more of like G.I. Joe and it's serious. And again, you know, it's cartoon, so it's none of it's super serious, but we tried to make the second one more like in the world of the movie, like what was actually happening to these characters. So it was fun to work with our animator to work on different styles and, you know, show these huge set pieces that we can never afford to film.
Oh, so you guys didn't do the animation yourselves? You actually brought in an animator?
Oh yeah, we brought an animator. No, I'm like stick figure style drawing and like the same like faces I've been doing since I'm about 7 years old.
Yeah, Eric did most of the shot lists, and they were, God bless you, they were great. But sometimes me and my DP would be like, "What are we? What? Like, what is this?"
With our storyboard, yeah, we just shot with storyboard to map it together.
Yeah.
Now I also understand you guys did this all on a limited location too, right? Just 2 locations, obviously not inside a Walmart.
Right? No, not it. No, we that, you know, when Sean said he wanted to make we were like two people, 1 location. That was kind of the original goal, and we realized we had a location that fell apart before we were shooting. We're like, well, how do we improvise this? And you know, we kind of said, look, if it's 1 location, 2 locations, it's still an interesting way to make this idea come to life. And so, you know, we both work full time, and I was sitting in my office and I was looking around, and we had needed a conference room, a scene that takes place in a conference room. I was like, well, I said, maybe I could talk to my boss and maybe they'll let us use the conference room. And I asked her and she said, sure. And then I said, Sean, great, we can use the conference room. And then I started looking around the office and I'm going, well, that could be a bar and that could be a hotel room and that could be a wedding. And maybe we could make a Walmart there and we could make a chase scene in the middle of this whole thing. And all of a sudden Sean came to the office at the end of the day and he looked around. He's like, this is great. And our DP and one of the art directors came and they were like, oh, okay, all right. But I was like, look, I was like, guys, it's free. You know what I mean? Like, so let's see if we can make it work. And so you just had to have the vision. And then we use that for Act 1 and Act 3. And then for Act 2, Sean found on Craigslist like a very cheap, like a 750 square foot studio, that photo studio space in Long Island City in Queens. But it was grungy and dingy, and we could see like if we could use every corner, we could use the middle. They had stairs and had like a slight side room that we could turn in. And we just said, let's just make this all of Act 2. So when they're underground, they're in this dungeon, grungy space, and when they're above ground, they're in my office. But it's a set.
Wow, look, the film is a whole lot of fun. So obviously, it's well worth it in the end for both of you guys to do something like this.
Yeah, we had a blast. It was a long road, but we had fun.
So obviously you had an animator, you had a cinematographer. I'm just trying to figure out what kind of crew you actually have, trying to limit everything, because obviously you produced it, you directed, you wrote it, you made sandwiches. Is there anything else?
Yeah, we were definitely the interns, but no, we were very fortunate to have an amazing crew. We had a great producer on board that was with us from the start, and Alex Nordenson. Our editor Billy Naraki, was kind of our savior in post production. Our DP Mateo Marquez, our composer Kevin Prokop, our sound person. I mean, we were blessed with a very great team that kind of held our hands.
It's funny, right before similar to losing our location right before we were supposed to shoot, our original DP had won a gig by the Russian Olympic Committee to shoot a documentary for the Olympics for them. And he's like, I gotta go. And we're like, we get it. Like, do your thing, man. That's a big deal. Nobody knows who we are. It's a first time thing. Cool. And he went, and then a kid I babysat, and he's a man now, but someone I babysat when he was younger, I just finished graduated film school, and we had talked to him while we were making this prototype for years, and he knew about the project. And I called him. I said, listen, I know you're going to help us out. You're going to help on set. We need a DP. Our guy just left. We have 2 weeks before shooting is supposed to start. Do you have someone, that we can talk with? And he introduced us to Mateo Marquez, and the kid I babysat, who's now a man, his name is Ethan Greenfield. And, they are all, him and kind of his film school crew had all been working PA jobs in New York City or making short films. And so they really came on board and started to build out a crew from their own friendships and kind of their connections. And that really rounded out that really rounded everything out. And because they were getting the chance to do something much bigger and than they normally did, I think they worked that much harder. And then they had a great sound person who was been working for 15 years in sound, so she came on board, and we just kind of lived there. So even though it's a small production, every kind of shoot, because we shot it on the weekends, because we had to film it at our office and in this photo studio, every shoot got bigger and bigger. And I have to say, people on the crew, when we finally wrapped, they said this has been the most well-run set that we've ever been on, even for guys that are making their first feature. And I think it's partially because I worked in business for years in advertising. I managed teams, and Sean I don't want to do this word again, but Sean oversees the provost office at a university in New York. And so even though we might not have been shooting, we might not have run a feature before, we know how to kind of communicate and establish deadlines and parameters and communicate with teams and things like that. So that came in, that skill set from our day job life came in handy on the set.
Yeah, we were also really fortunate to have almost every single person come back for 12 days over a year. You'd think that would be a scheduling nightmare. Like, no way we're going to get this core group of 10 to 15 people back every day. But, we just tried to make a fun set and try to include everybody. And we were really lucky to keep our team from August to August for a full year, just through a week. Which really helped us because, starting new with a fresh crew. There's so much language that you have with someone after working with them for a while. And we were really fortunate just to keep the team. Well,
you guys did it. You finished the movie. So I have one more question for you guys then. With such a good overall experience, are you guys going to do this again on a micro budget film, or are we looking in towards a sequel for In Action?
That's a great question. I think since we did a screening, the first time we did a test screening with a bunch of people back in 2018, as we were trying to hone the edit, people were like, you got to do sequel, and you got to do a whole mix of genres. You got to do in horror and in drama and in romantic comedy and all this stuff. And we were like, oh, well, maybe there's something with that. And Sean has an idea for a sequel, and I'm always like, yeah, we'll make this a franchise. And so maybe one day, but I think for our next project, we would like to have go for a bigger budget. I think I don't think we're looking to do a $100 million blockbuster or anything like that. But I think the natural evolution of a larger budget, a bigger cast is in our cards, and it's what we're looking to do next.
Excellent. Well, gentlemen, hey, thank you very much for speaking to me about In Action.
Of course.
Thank you so much.
Your jokes actually work. If people watch the movie and talk about the jokes afterward, you guys accomplished something. So
thank you so much. Thank you for
you.
taking the time to talk with us and watch the movie.
Yeah, thank you so much. It means a lot.
Next time, Jay.
Take care. Thank you.